Psychopaths walk among us every day. They don't announce themselves with violence or chaos. They hide behind charming smiles and calculated conversations, silently studying you, adapting to you, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Their ability to blend into society with ease makes them almost impossible to detect until it's too late. By the time you notice something's wrong, they've already started dismantling your confidence, your relationships, and your sense of reality. This video reveals 5 critical behaviors that expose a hidden psychopath. Each one is a red flag, a quiet but deadly signal. Understanding these signs is not about paranoia. It's about preparation. Recognizing danger early allows you to act from a place of strength, not fear. So stay sharp, stay grounded, and let your mind become your first line of defense. 1. Pathological lying and relentless manipulation. This is not about telling the occasional white lie. This is a sustained assault on truth, a carefully constructed reality where facts bend, logic breaks, and your perception is no longer your own. The psychopath lies not just to deceive, but to dominate. Every word they choose, every detail they distort, serves a calculated purpose: to fracture your certainty and plant seeds of doubt deep inside your mind. They speak with confidence, with poise, and with a calm that makes you question your own sanity before you ever question them. And that is their strength. They are not chaotic liars. They are methodical, cold, strategic. The lies are layered, consistent, and woven with just enough truth to sound believable, so you don't resist. You rationalize. You make excuses for what you know deep down doesn't add up. Over time, this web of deception becomes your new normal. You stop trusting your instincts. You second-guess your memories. You replay conversations, searching for where you might have misunderstood, never realizing that your mind is being quietly rewritten. This is the foundation of gaslighting, one of the most destructive tools in the psychopath's arsenal. It begins subtly. A denial here, a contradiction there, but it escalates. Soon, you're being told that things you clearly remember never happened, that your emotions are overreactions, that your perception is flawed, and eventually, the person you rely on for closeness becomes the very person who is dismantling your confidence, one conversation at a time. The most dangerous part is how convincing they are. They lie with no signs of guilt, nor hesitation, no tells. You may confront them with evidence, messages, photos, timelines, and still, they will deny, deflect, and twist the story until you are left wondering if the truth even matters. They do not lie because they're cornered. They lie because it works, because it confuses you, because it weakens you, and because every lie chips away at your autonomy until your thoughts, your beliefs, and your decisions are no longer your own. And this manipulation isn't limited to one-on-one interaction. They triangulate. They tell different stories to different people, creating conflict, tension, and mistrust. They isolate you without ever laying a hand on you. They pit friend against friend, partner against family, until the only voice you're left trusting is theirs. They become the center of your emotional universe. And then they use that position to exploit, to control, to dominate without resistance, They will use partial truths, details that are technically accurate but stripped of context and bent into a narrative that serves their agenda. This is not clumsy lying. It is psychological chess. Every move calculated. Every word selected to keep you chasing clarity that never comes. And when you catch them, when you present undeniable evidence, they don't apologize. They don't reflect. They attack. They accuse you of being paranoid, controlling, or untrusting. And in your exhaustion, you might believe them. You might apologize for bringing it up, for not trusting them, for seeing what you were never supposed to see. This is how deep the manipulation runs. It is not just about controlling what you think. It's about making you abandon the part of yourself that dares to question, that dares to resist. And once that part is gone, they have full access to your life, your mind, your identity. So ask yourself, are you constantly confused after conversations with them? Do you feel like you're always defending yourself for things that never happened? Are you apologizing more than you ever have before? Are you starting to feel unsure of what's real and what's not? If so, pause. That is not love. That is not misunderstanding. That is the second unmistakable sign that you're dealing with a psychopath. Pathological lying and ruthless manipulation. The antidote is clarity. Quiet, unwavering clarity. Do not beg for truth. Do not try to out-argue a liar. Do not try to fix someone whose power comes from keeping you broken. Instead, step back. Watch the patterns. Protect your mind. Guard your silence. And prepare to walk away with your dignity and awareness intact. Because once your sense of reality has been taken, everything else becomes easy to steal. Too superficial charm with calculated intent. This is not ordinary likability. It is a manufactured performance, carefully crafted to disarm you, impress you, and embed itself deep in your psyche before you have the chance to question anything. The psychopath studies you. Every word you speak, every story you share, every subtle cue you give away is stored, processed, and then reflected back to you in the form of perfect compatibility. You mention a childhood dream. They've had the same one. You reveal a personal struggle. They claim they've been through it too. You talk about the kind of connection you're searching for. They say they've wanted the same thing their whole life. And because the story matches yours so precisely, you trust them. You open up. You let them in. But this charm is not about you. It's about control. Their attention feels pure and flattering, but it's rooted in strategy, not sincerity. It's a performance, a mask molded to fit the exact shape of your emotional needs. You may feel like you've finally met someone who sees the real you, someone who understands your soul, but you haven't. You've met someone who knows how to imitate connection with such precision that even your gut instinct starts to doubt itself. And here's the crucial detail. The charm isn't consistent. It's conditional. The moment you hesitate to meet a demand, or express doubt, or assert a boundary, the entire demeanor can shift. That magnetic presence can turn cold, irritated, or withdrawn. Suddenly, the endless compliments stop. The warmth fades. The interest vanishes. You begin to wonder what changed. You ask yourself, did I say something wrong? Was I too distant? Too demanding? You question yourself instead of questioning them. And that is exactly what they want. Your confusion becomes the first sign of emotional dependence. They thrive in this cycle. Idealization followed by subtle rejection. A dance of push and pull that keeps you unsteady. It's a psychological trap when you try to reclaim the connection, to get back to the version of them that once made you feel seen. They reward you with more charm, a little more attention, a brief glimpse of the original intensity, and then it fades again. You are being conditioned, rewarded for submission, punished for resistance. This is not affection. It is programming. The danger lies in how seductive it all feels. The charm is so overwhelming, so intoxicating, that it drowns out your inner warning system, that small voice in your mind whispering, "This is too fast, too perfect, something's off," is not fear. It's instinct. And when you silence it, you surrender your judgment to someone who does not value your well-being, only your compliance. Ask yourself, do they listen to understand, or just to reflect? Do they show interest in your life, or do they perform the perfect response? Does their attention feel earned, or does it arrive in a flood? Too soon. Too intense. Pay attention, because this kind of charm is not sustainable. It's an act, and when the act is no longer useful, it will end. Real connection doesn't overwhelm. It doesn't bypass boundaries. It doesn't flood you with affection before trust is built. Real connection unfolds slowly, rooted in patience, humility, and truth. But superficial charm. It rushes, it invades, it conquers, and once it gets what it came for, it disappears, leaving you questioning your worth, your sanity, and your ability to ever trust again. If you feel swept off your feet by someone you barely know, pause. If their praise feels rehearsed and their compatibility too convenient, pause. If they make you feel like the answer to all their problems before they've even learned your full name, pause. These are not signs of destiny. They are signs of danger. Superficial charm is the first signal that you're being hunted by a hidden predator. And if you don't recognize it for what it is, you may not realize the damage until it's already been done. Remain still. Remain aware. And above all, trust what your silence is trying to tell you. 3. A fundamental lack of empathy and emotional depth. This is the cold center of the psychopath's mind. An emptiness masked by imitation. They may speak the right words. They may mimic the expressions of concern, of sympathy, of sorrow. But beneath the surface, there is nothing. No true resonance. No shared emotional current. When you cry, they watch. When you suffer, they study. And when you open your heart to them, they do not meet you with compassion. They collect information. Everything you reveal is stored not for connection, but for leverage. A psychopath does not feel your pain the way a human being should. They analyze it, they categorize it, and they wait for the perfect moment to use it against you. Their understanding of emotion is mechanical, like an actor reciting lines with perfect timing. They can simulate affection, remorse, and vulnerability, but the performance is hollow. It is designed to extract, to manipulate, to survive, not to bond. You'll notice it in moments of real human need. When someone close to you is grieving, they seem distant or irritated. When you're hurt, their words are cold. offered more out of obligation than genuine care. They may say all the right things, but their eyes remain empty, their energy unchanged. There is no warmth, no gravity, no presence, and that absence, subtle at first, becomes glaring over time. They lack remorse for the damage they cause. They do not feel guilt for betrayal. They do not ache when they've wounded someone deeply. Instead, they justify, they blame, or worse, they mock. If you reveal your fears, your shame, your heartbreak, they may smile quietly and say nothing. But later, when conflict arises, they'll weaponize those exact moments. They will throw your vulnerability back at you, disguised as insight, as truth, or as a cruel joke, because to them, people are not sacred. Emotions are not sacred. Relationships are not sacred. You are either useful or you are irrelevant. And when you stop being useful, the detachment is swift, brutal, and absolute. You are discarded with as little emotion as a broken tool. This absence of empathy is not just a personality flaw, it is a moral void, and it will poison every connection they touch. You may find yourself feeling profoundly alone even when you are with them. You may pour out your heart and receive silence, or a blank stare, or a strange smirk. You may share something beautiful or tragic and see no change in their face. These are not random moments. They are signals, warnings that the person beside you cannot meet you where you are, and never will. True empathy connects souls. It listens without judgment. It feels the pain of others as if it were its own. A psychopath lacks this bridge. They stand on the outside of human experience, imitating, observing, using, and when you try to reach them, you are met not with presence, but with calculation. So, if your deepest emotions are consistently met with indifference, if your suffering is dismissed or distorted, if your inner world is treated like a set of tools instead of something sacred, recognize the danger. That is the third sign you are dealing with a psychopath, a hollow space where empathy should be. Guard your soul. Protect your silence. And remember, emotional starvation is not love. It is slow destruction. 4. Impulsivity and a total lack of responsibility. This is not the type of impulsiveness that leads to an occasional mistake or a spontaneous decision. This is a pattern of reckless behavior, woven into the core of who they are. A deep refusal to pause, to think, or to take ownership of the destruction they leave behind. The psychopath lives in a state of constant motion, chasing pleasure, shows, and control. Without considering who they trample along the way, their life is a series of sudden decisions, abrupt shifts, and unpredictable turns. Jobs are taken and abandoned. Relationships are started and destroyed. Money is spent with no plan. Promises are made and broken without a second thought. And through it all, they carry no sense of guilt, no reflection, no pause for accountability. Instead, they point outward. It's never their fault. It's always the system, the ex, the family member, the co-worker. The world has wronged them. The consequences were unfair. The reactions they provoked were unreasonable. Their stories are always the same, crafted to make you believe they were just trying their best in a cruel, unforgiving world. But when you look closer, you see the truth. The same patterns repeated over and over again. a history of burnt bridges, of people who gave, supported, believed, only to be left behind, confused, drained, and betrayed. And if you've been close to this kind of person, you know the damage is real. You start out trying to help. You think you can guide them, support them, love them into stability. But over time, their impulsive behavior becomes your burden. You're constantly picking up the pieces, paying their debts, explaining their behavior, managing their mood swings, covering for their mistakes. You become the safety net for someone who is not falling. They are jumping. And when you try to bring up the damage, when you speak the truth, you're met with anger, denial, or victimhood. They spin the story, turn the tables, and suddenly you're the one apologizing for having expectations, for setting boundaries, for asking for basic respect. The most dangerous part of this behavior is how it warps your sense of what's normal. You begin to adapt to the chaos. You downplay red flags. You silence your instincts. You call their destruction a phase. You call their irresponsibility stress. You make excuses because the alternative, seeing them clearly, is painful. But the truth does not bend. No matter how charming they are in the moment, no matter how sincere their apologies sound, no matter how many fresh starts they promise, if someone shows you again and again that they cannot take responsibility, cannot make steady decisions, cannot face the consequences of their own actions, believe them. This is not immaturity. It is a lack of moral structure, a refusal to self-govern, and it will destroy anything stable it touches. Their relationships are short-lived because they demand loyalty without offering consistency. Their careers collapse because they seek reward without discipline. Their lives are filled with drama because their need for control and stimulation overrides any concern for peace. And they always have someone else to blame. If you stay in their orbit, you become part of the excuse. You become the one who enabled, tolerated, forgave too much. And that guilt, that exhaustion, that confusion, that's the cost of staying. This is the fifth and final sign that you are dealing with a psychopath. Impulsivity that turns life into a storm, and irresponsibility that leaves destruction in its wake. You cannot build with someone who refuses to stand still. You cannot heal with someone who turns every wound into a weapon, and you cannot grow with someone who denies every lesson life tries to teach them. You deserve steady. You deserve peace. You deserve truth. And if that means walking away from someone who refuses to change, then so be it. Let your silence speak. Let your boundaries stand. And let your strength, quiet, disciplined, and unmoved, be the answer to their chaos. Because in the end, the one who walks away with clarity is always the one who wins. 5. A parasitic lifestyle built on exploitation and entitlement. This behavior is not occasional or situational. It is foundational. It defines how the psychopath sees others and interacts with the world. They do not build. They do not contribute. They attach, extract, and move on. Like a parasite finds a host. They find people who are empathetic, generous, and stable. Then they begin the slow, calculated process of feeding on their time, their energy, their resources, and their emotional strength. It often starts under the disguise of connection or crisis. They present themselves as misunderstood, as broken, as someone in need of saving, and because you are kind, you open the door. You offer support. You become the lifeline they were looking for. Not to heal, but to consume. Their goal is not growth. It is gain. And once you are invested, the exploitation begins. They make you feel responsible for their problems. They tell stories of betrayal, injustice, or bad luck that always paint them as the victim of circumstance or cruelty. And because you believe in compassion, you step in. You offer your time. You offer your money. You offer your shelter, your reputation, your heart. And at first, they're grateful. They make promises. They say things will change. But nothing changes, except the size of their demands. What once was a small favor becomes a constant expectation. What began as emotional support becomes financial dependence. And the more you give, the more entitled they become, not thankful. Entitled. They believe they deserve what you provide. They believe your resources exist to serve their needs. And if you begin to question the imbalance, if you ask for something in return, or suggest healthy boundaries, they accuse you of being selfish, cold, or unsupportive. This is the trap. You feel guilty for pulling back. You doubt your own instincts. You start to think that maybe you are the problem. But you are not. You are the target. The psychopath exploits with precision. They seek out those who are healing, who are open-hearted, who are between chapters in life, those who are generous without conditions. They know exactly what to say to keep you loyal. They build false futures to keep you hoping. They use your compassion as a leash and your goodness as a blindfold. And once they have extracted what they want, once your energy is drained, your finances are stretched, your self-worth is frayed, they discard you, often coldly, often suddenly, as if you never mattered at all. This isn't failure. It's a pattern. Idealize, devalue, discard. And the aftermath is not just about loss. It's about identity. You are left questioning your judgment, wondering how you didn't see the signs, asking how someone could take so much and feel nothing. But that is the nature of the parasite. It doesn't love the host. It uses the host. And when the host is empty, it moves on. Sometimes, they keep the connection just enough to come back later. When they need more, a message out of nowhere, a request cloaked in nostalgia. Do not fall for it. If your relationship feels one-sided, if you're always giving while they take, if your generosity is being used against you, if you feel more drained than supported, stop, take a breath, step back. That is not care. That is consumption. That is the fourth unmistakable sign you're dealing with a psychopath. A parasitic lifestyle rooted in exploitation. This is not someone who needs help. This is someone who feeds off the help you give. And the longer you stay, the more of yourself you will lose. You are not selfish for protecting your time. You are not cruel for defending your boundaries. You are not wrong for walking away from someone who only takes. Real relationships are built on mutual respect, shared growth, and reciprocal care. Anything else is theft disguised as love. So, reclaim your energy, rebuild your walls, and remind yourself, your value is not up for negotiation. You are not here to be used. You are here to stand, to grow, and to guard what you've earned. with the strength of someone who has seen the worst and chooses, every time, to rise above it. You've now seen the 5 unmistakable signs of a hidden psychopath: the calculated charm, the pathological lying, the absence of empathy, the parasitic exploitation, and the reckless irresponsibility. These are not harmless traits. They are dangerous patterns. And if you see them in someone close to you, you must act, not with emotion, not with drama, but with quiet, unwavering strength. Do not waste your time trying to fix what was never broken, only designed to manipulate. Do not try to teach empathy to someone who uses emotions as weapons, and do not argue with someone who thrives on confusion. Your best defense is clarity. Your greatest weapon is silence. And your most powerful move is to walk away with your dignity intact. Disengage with purpose. Reclaim your space. Protect your energy. And above all, trust what your instincts have been trying to tell you all along. When something feels off, it is. When someone consistently drains you, deceives you, and destabilizes your world, they are not confused. They are in control. And it's your responsibility to take that control back. You are not here to be consumed. You are not here to be explained away. You are here to stand tall, live wisely, and protect your peace with the full force of your awareness and your will. Now, choose strength, choose stillness, and never look back.